I feel like all fans should feel that way. You just don't do that. The lone dissenting vote. There's one point of reference, one point of note. The lone dissenting vote for the Raiders move was cast by Miami Dolphins owner Stephen Ross, who Green has known for several years and considers a mentor. Ross explained his vote by saying that teams should exhaust everything to try to stay in a city, and owners should have deep pockets to deliver stadium funding. And that's a very good point, man, and you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show. Like, if you don't have money to build your own stadium, and a lot of y'all mentioned yesterday how Mark Davis, in relative terms to a lot of other owners in the NFL, his pockets is kind of, suspect, as relative terms of Jerry Jones and, Bob Kraft are billionaires with an S on the end. I think a lot of y'all said that Mark Davis has $500 million. He's just worth $500 million. Well, damn it, if you don't got the pockets to compete and to keep up with the Joneses in the NFL, you need to probably get out. You need to probably get out. I mean, obviously you're in a game over your head, okay? Clearly you are. And if Mark Davis and the Raiders don't have the money to compete with other owners, many of which who made their fortunes in other businesses, okay? Most of these guys came into this thing rich. Most of these owners owning these sports teams is basically like a big-ass hobby for a billionaire, right? And so if you can't compete financially, man, maybe you need to sell a team. And when you talk about $500 million that Davis and the Raiders organization have, I think you're talking about liquid. You're talking about cash or whatever, what he actually has to his name. If they sell the Raiders right now to another investor group, I would bet it's worth over $1 billion. I would bet maybe it's close to $2 billion. So they have money, but it's just tied up in the organization. So I agree with Draymond, man, and I agree with the Dolphins owner as well. I mean, all opportunities have to be researched, man, to try to keep this damn team there. And I know that the Raiders ownership will say that they've tried over the last couple of years. Damn it, keep trying. Keep trying. I mean, it's as simple as that. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? 404-382-0338. You can also email me at doug@thedougstewartshow.com. From Finance John E. No way in the hell they're going to give up the brand value of the Raiders worth too much money. From Uncle Mike. So let me see if I can understand what a couple of y'all are saying. The brand Raiders is in the actual name, the Raiders. So the difference between, and let me look at my little list, and I wrote down some names here and some organizations. Supersonics, they weren't really that good. The Lakers were good, probably when they were in Minneapolis. The Hawks probably weren't good in St. Louis. The Hawks did win a championship in St. Louis. Maybe that's why they kept the name. The Oilers were never good, so they changed. The Colts used to be one of those national organizations from back in the day with Johnny Unitas and those cats, so they kept the name. The Colts is probably a national brand. The Browns, you know what happened? They left Baltimore. They left Cleveland and went to Baltimore. And the fans pitched such a fit in Cleveland that they had to leave a name. I mean, they were getting so much bad press, taking the Browns' name. So it looks like this thing kind of fluctuates. I was trying to determine whether, and you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show, if the team before they leave, if they're a historically good franchise in relative terms to how you think about said franchise, do they take the name with them? Or if they're a bad franchise in the particular city that they're leaving from, do they not take the name with them and they just start from fresh? I said this a couple of weeks ago. I can't even remember what we were talking about, but I was saying, when you're a bad team, you probably just need to start fresh. New logo, new mascot, new colors and everything. So I think the majority of these teams that I'm looking at now that left one city and went to another, but I'm looking at St. Louis. And so a lot of young people that may be listening to the show right now, you may not remember, but the St. Louis the Cardinals, who are now in Arizona, were in St. Louis. When I was a kid, they were in St. Louis. It was the St. Louis Cardinals. And I remember lightweight St. Louis, the Cardinals, because like a local hero, the great Stump Mitchell, if you're from the low country of South Carolina, the great Stump Mitchell that played running back at the Citadel, he played for the Cardinals when they were in St. Louis. And so they up and they moved to Arizona. They were never good. They were never good. So when they went to Arizona, you would think that they'd start fresh and get a new name and everything. They didn't do that. They kept the stinky-ass Arizona Cardinals. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, so it looks like it's not a definite, reasoning on why they take the name, the colors, and everything with them or not. From Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast, how about when the Buffalo Braves of the NBA left Western New York for San Diego and became the Clippers? That's right. I don't remember when all of that went down, but yeah, the Braves were in Buffalo. What's his face that played for them initially? But then he finished his career in Los Angeles. I can't remember. He's still on somebody's bench right now. Old cat. And the last couple of years of his career, he played for the Lakers. He was on the Lakers bench at like 49 years old. And I can't remember his name. Somebody in the chat room will tell me here in a second. But played for the Lakers at the very end of his career. And when he left, and he initially was signed by the Buffalo Braves. And at the Bob McAdoo. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Thank you, Al Thompson. Yeah. Thank you, Al Thompson. The great Bob McAdoo. Bob McAdoo been an assistant coach in the NBA for 49 years. Maybe I embellish a little bit, but yeah, I remember. So this is how long I've been a Laker fan. I remember when Bob McAdoo was like at the end of his career. He had a George Jefferson haircut, receding hairline all the way to the back of his neck. Yeah, and he was on the Lakers at the very end of his career, man. But he was the number one pick in the draft, from what I remember. And talking about Bob McAdoo, I don't remember when he was drafted or anything, but he was like the number one player drafted when he came out of college, and he was like the player of the year, the MVP, maybe even a couple of times, and finished his career in Los Angeles. And he used to be, did he used to be on the bench for Miami? I think he used to be on the bench for the Miami Heat, man, but he's been an assistant coach ever since he's been out of basketball, man. So there's a lot of examples of teams leaving one city and going to the other. It seems like there's no formula on whether you take the name or not. I guess the best way to look at it is if you have a national brand as your mascot, as your team name and the colors, you don't change it. If you're kind of middle tier or below, then yeah, you can change it. You might as well do something, try something different. So teams like the Dallas Cowboys, I guess from what y'all are saying is, teams like the Dallas Cowboys, the Pittsburgh Steelers, first of all, there's a very little chance those teams will lose their cities or leave their cities. But you're saying that the Dallas Cowboys, the Packers, the Chicago Bears, teams like that, the Pittsburgh Steelers, if they were to leave their city, they're not going to change shit. Yeah, from B. Jones, he says, Stump Mitchell ran my damn alma mater into the ground. How does Stump Mitchell run your alma mater into the ground? The Citadel. Or are you talking about high school? What are you talking about? I don't understand. Oh, maybe you mean had a big game. Maybe you played at, I don't know, Furman or something like that, a Presbyterian. From a man Fly Tie says, just like a bad breakup, take all your ish and get on. Right. And talking about the Raiders fans. Maybe the Raiders fans do feel like that. Maybe it is a bad breakup, and they're like, take your name, just take everything, just get the hell out. like a bad breakup. Maybe that's the case as well. From the D, yeah, that's BS, Corey. These bastards want something for free. They want to make money for free, but it costs money to make money. From Tight Sigma, he says it's all about the dollars. From No Love for MDK, yep, RC Sonics won a title and had a squad with Kemp and Peyton, then Ray Allen's team. That's a good point, right? I mentioned earlier how the Seattle Supersonics really weren't that great a team. They actually won a championship. When I was a little boy, what was that, like 78, 79? Lenny Wilkins was the head coach. Who did they have? Freddie Brown, the great Jack Sikma, tall, 7'8" white guy. Yeah, so I take that back a little bit. The Supersonics did have a relatively good history. And when they had Gary Payton and Sean Kemp and all of those guys, the Supersonics, man, were a fun team to watch for a long time. You're right. From Tight Sigma, he says the Las Vegas Wet Nootsies. I guess that's alluding to the prostitution industry in that part of the country. From DC Cavalier, I don't know why Oakland just doesn't tell the team to move after this year. Yeah, but they're under lease. Wait a minute. They have, I think the Raiders actually have 2 one-year options. So it's their choice on whether they leave or not. The problem is they go to Las Vegas. I don't think that you'd go to another city. Maybe you do. I don't know how that works. It's been done before in basketball. I talked about it earlier. When the Supersonics left Seattle, they went first. They couldn't stay in Seattle. You know, it was just too bad. It was too toxic of a situation. So they left Seattle, and they went to San Antonio. San Antonio basically took them in. San Antonio also took in the Pelicans, which at that time were the Hornets. San Antonio also took them in for a year or two as well, I believe, before they went to New Orleans. So I think it was when they came from Charlotte, before they went to New Orleans, they were in San Antonio for like a year or two. But back to Seattle. So Seattle for a year or so were in San Antonio, and then they went to Oklahoma City. And I guess it's probably the same type of situation we're talking about right now, what DC Cavaliers talking about, why they can't do it, or why they may want to do something like that. Because the Raiders, if they feel like they're not going to get any fans, if they're going to be 300 people in the stands for every game, maybe they do pick up and go and play at UNLV Stadium, which I think they said only holds 35,000 people. That's a bad look. They're going to lose money. But maybe they might have to do that if it gets bad enough. I don't know. I mean, it brings up a lot of questions, man. Me personally, if I'm a fan base, if I'm the Black Hole, if I'm Raider Nation, I ain't going. Fuck that. Yeah. I ain't going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going out there. And the Raiders have the option. They have 2 one-year options. Year 3, they got to figure something out. You're talking 2020. They're going to have to figure something out. When we get back from the break, man, more of your chat messages. And speaking of the Raiders, man, and where they're going to move, they're already starting to take in money. We'll talk about that, more of your chat messages as well. And also, we'll get to this NFL talk with celebrations. I got to give you a name for my top 5 celebrations, end zone celebrations of all times. Up next on the Doug Stewart Show.
Cool kid. I had a dream that I could be without you. Oh, I'm for real and I could even can't you see without you. Kiss on me without you. Oh, be free without you. Back then I woke up right next to you. She's the better lover. I don't think that she loving on me even when I'm not even aware. I could never understand it, I could never really